Hello, Capricorn. This is Lee at Fresh Astrology. We're looking at August 2019. So, I have not had a lot of time to get to these. I had pulled back. I anticipated this year was going to be kind of a struggle to get to these free kind of horoscopes that I do on YouTube. And in an attempt to make sure I still kept something going, I tried to bring it to a quarterly forecast. But in July, that whole system broke down. So I'm doing August. At least we'll start with August, but I kind of missed July. But that was eclipse season, so I hope you're still intact. If you're watching this, you are. So congratulations, you got through. Sometimes it means big, exciting, new, fun things, so it's not always bad, but it can be a lot of excitement. But here you are, here we are. Capricorn, it's such a big time in your life right now. So much going on for you. This is a natural time of year for you to focus on money and maybe real estate, and then focus on learning new things, travel, all things foreign. Maybe, it's a really, like the school year is such a natural cadence for you to go off to school in August, September. It's just kind of this natural cadence for you and feels very normal for the school year to start right about now, or at least toward the end of August. So Capricorns tend to have a love of learning and learning new concepts, big things, big philosophies, new ideas, the world of ideas. And you also love to learn experientially by traveling and doing things. So that's very exciting for you. So this is a normal time, again, to focus on money, a little bit of regeneration energetically, and then kind of focus on the world of big ideas. So it's kind of an exciting, especially toward middle to end of August, kind of an exciting time for you. You go from more inward to more outward and kind of an excitement. But right now, as I record this in early August, it's more of an inward time when you're focused more inwardly on regeneration. So here are my notes. I'm just showing you kind of, so you can wrap your mind around. So I'm looking at the news, I think, is Jupiter direct this month. This is happening in your 12th house in Sagittarius. And there's some themes there. And then also the bigger story, the slow story, the slowly unfolding story is what's happening in your sign, actually. It's happening for everybody. It's not just happening to you, but it's so personal to you. This Saturn-Pluto conjunction, this very slow-moving conjunction happening in your sign in the first house. And so what that means kind of on a surfacey level is literally under these stars, people will be trying on new hair colors, getting a totally new look, new haircut, completely different look. Even playing, like the mannerisms even, and the way somebody talks can really change. And the way that would happen in a more authentic way, you've got planets of authenticity big time in your sign, is that you would drop pretense, you would drop the artifice, you would drop the politeness and just be you. It doesn't mean suddenly you're impolite and a terrible person, but we have a lot of social artifice and masks that we put on because we're told from a very young age that we have to, and we've watched our parents do the same. And so one way you would just start sounding different and coming across differently is that you just drop the mask and the artifice. So one funny example of this would be somebody who never swore in public, or even to friends who suddenly just started swearing like a sailor, would be they just dropped that mask, that like construct that says you're not allowed to do this because, if you're a woman who does this, that means something bad about you. So I have a friend where this is true. That's why it was such an easy example to pull, is, she just started swearing like a sailor. And this is after really just never, I've known her a long time, but she's becoming more of her authentic self. So, that doesn't mean you have to do that too, but that's just one example how one could suddenly start speaking differently. It would be because one's taking away the play acting and suddenly is just them. And when I'm talking to someone in a coaching session and we start and, we kind of typically start with, hey, how are you? And those are kind of the socially constructs. And then we really get into, the real nitty gritty, and someone's whole cadence changes and their whole level of their voice goes deeper and they're talking more slowly. The artifice has dropped. And so with Capricorn, there's just this more long-term change going on. They're becoming more authentically who they are. You are becoming more authentically who you are. I don't know if you feel that. I imagine this journey is so deep and profound that you have some sense of that, because it's a very powerful experience. And you're taking on a type of power. Capricorns are taking on a kind of power and working with their own comfort level with power. How comfortable are you with your own power? I think that's another big change, is you will be displaying more comfort with your own power, your own sense of power and the power of who you are. So the news again is this Jupiter direct. Jupiter's been in retrograde since April. So what does this mean? It's in your 12th house, which is kind of a weird place to have Jupiter. I mean, it goes through there every 12 years. It's not that weird, but it's more subtle. Certainly externally more subtle in terms of luck entering your life. But I always find that it is kind of a lucky time. I mean, Jupiter's always lucky, but there's like quiet luck happening. And maybe some things you don't even want to advertise. Like if you're suddenly making more money, you don't even want everybody to know. Maybe you're trying to be low key about some of the good stuff happening to you. Or you feel things happening, you know good things are happening, but it's just not fully visible yet. But you're undergoing some big changes, and there's a big reset later into December of this year, and you're prepping for that. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. So let's look at these themes. So you've got, a lot of you, projects going on behind the scenes. There's a mental reset going on inside of you. It takes about a year, so you're not fully reset, but in August there's a kind of forward momentum going on. There's some forwards, things you've been mulling over since April pretty seriously, move forward in August. There's an emotional reset where a lot's been going on. Your emotions have been all over the place, and there could have been, despite a lot of good things happening for you, there could have been some emotional, there's times when even there's a lot of good stuff where emotionally you're a little under the weather, even though there's nothing that really explains that. And it doesn't mean you're sad all the time. I'm not trying to suggest that either, but it's just like sometimes you're just emotional and you don't know why. That's the Jupiter retrograde. There's a tendency during this time with Jupiter back here to be taking lots of vacations, wanting to get away a lot, wanting to take a break. This whole last year, really just wanting in your heart of hearts to take a break. And that's okay. And just lots and lots going on behind the scenes. Lots of big plans. And you're ready to make your big entrance into the world in a whole new way. Starting in December and January coming up. But this is the prep stage. So I think there's some financial preparations, a lot of thinking about money. There's a lot of stuff going on privately. Like maybe your friends know about it, close friends, some close family members, but not the general public. The general public may not fully understand what all the big changes that are coming up. And there's just a big money theme right now. And it may not be the ultimate big theme, but right now there's a big money theme. A lot of planning and prepping and thinking about money. And this feeds into what you'll be doing next year. So some of you may have some friends or family members, people who, just as an aside, it's not so related to you, but it does impact you on an emotional level. Friends and family who may be in and out of the hospital or having some problems that are either very private or so if they're not in and out of the hospital, there may be some mental issues, mental and even physical, so you may have some friends who are going through some things, people close to you. So that could that could be a part of when, Jupiter in the 12th house, usually you feel kind of like held up, like you can only fall so far emotionally. Jupiter is like these helping hands, like they come out of the clouds and kind of hold you. It's like one of those tarot cards where the hands coming out of the clouds, it's like their angelic hands just kind of holding you emotionally. That's an internal feeling you can get, that you just are okay no matter what. But if you have friends or family who have some health ups and downs, that can kind of throw you off. And then sometimes you're just thrown off and you don't know why. But on the whole, emotionally, there is this nice floor. You don't fall further than that floor. So it's holding you through this kind of cocooning time when you're not fully your butterfly self. And you're not fully your butterfly self in August, but there's some kind of turnaround and momentum moving forward so that you will become your butterfly self. It's happening. It's actually happening. And I think it's felt for a few months like, I don't know if this is happening. I don't know if this butterfly thing, I don't think this cocoon is becoming a butterfly. I don't think it's happening. But, patience and perseverance. And I think as of mid-August, there's a big turnaround and some things start to move forward. What else can we say here? If you have children, some of your ups and downs may have had to do with children and all the changes in their life or their lives, or maybe even if you're trying to have children, that there could be some ups and downs with that, some surprises, some of them not so great, some of them maybe good surprises, so that could include miscarriages and things like that. But with Uranus here, it's just as likely that you would have a surprise pregnancy, and surprise, you carried a full term. So, have faith. And you may, I think if you're struggling to have a child, just a straightforward astrological trick would be to try to time it so that your child is born in a time, meaning, that you start 9 months before the time of Aquarius. And I would try for that. Try to conceive 9 months before the time of Aquarius. And I think if you try to have a little Aquarian child, sometimes if you're not, if it's a child who's going to be born in another time, that's totally fine. I'm not saying you can only have a child born in the time of Aquarius, but that would be one trick, is to try to time it that way. And I don't know if we've missed that window already. We have probably, but that would be one trick. There are other tricks too. Using technology, using everything the science and technology have to offer is a good way to go. Trying new ways to do things. Thinking outside the box if you're trying to have children. Also, with creative projects or trying to get a business off the ground or a creative project off the ground, um, there could be, these ups and downs that started in March and April, some ups and downs, unexpected ups and downs. So projects that you thought were on, because you do have there's this concept of a big project behind the scenes, and you may have several going, but certainly with these projects, or at least one of them, there's some upsets, there's some ups and downs, and some unexpected curveballs, and that's just going to be a part of the growth of whatever is you're growing. So if you're growing, a creative career, or you're growing a new business, a part of the way this is going to go for the next 7 years or so is, it's going to be up and down. There are going to be unexpected things that happen, and that's a part of the healthy way this is going to grow. So I think the mental trick with this is to understand that it's healthy to have upsets. It's healthy to have ups and downs. Do we want them because we live in a culture that always wants us to be happy and everything to be great all the time? Yeah, I mean, we don't want things to be up and down. Americans especially hate the word down. We don't want things to grow and then not grow. We hate that because we've got this weird culture that expects constant growth and happiness, and it's a little insane. So then when we have just what's normal, which is normal ups and downs, it can feel like the whole world is ending. And I think it's good just to get some perspective. But what's going to be healthy for you actually in growing, whatever this is that you're growing, whether it's a child or, creative world, creative projects, a creative life, a new business, a part of the healthy way it's going to grow is through the ups and downs and surprises. That's actually part of what makes it profitable in the end, is by having this up and down, very kind of Uranian nature to it, is actually what's healthy right now. And the more a person can just accept, that life isn't, always shiny and perfect, and with things always going up and to the right, and the profits always going up and to the right. If we can accept that, under these conditions, we ourselves are healthier in the way we meet, the circumstances. So just to be clear, I'm not saying your business won't grow or your creative projects won't grow, and I'm saying they will. They absolutely will. But the healthy way for them to get there is to have a lot of changes, and there needs to be some kind of flexibility and thinking outside the box, a willingness to change, a willingness to turn on a dime when something isn't working and go in a direction that does work. So it's kind of the way you're going to be, the way you need to be in parenting, the way you need to be in romance. If you want to start and grow a romance, you need to be flexible and think outside the box. If you have this new business, you need to be willing to be very creative and think very creatively, and kind of push the envelope of invention, and a willingness to be unusual. A willingness to be different is the way you're going to grow. So I absolutely think you can make money on these things. I absolutely think you can succeed at whatever you're trying to doing here. It's just, and even in romance, I think you can succeed. It's just stretching your ability to be wildly creative and wildly innovative. That's kind of the requirement of you right now, is to be wildly innovative. Do you feel up to that? You will increasingly, in part, mid-August, you'll feel like, ooh, okay, things are moving forward. And then really, starting in December, you're more and more going to feeling, yeah, I got this. I can do this. All right, guys. Good luck. That's August, and I'll talk to you soon.